Going live. We are live at Immortal Studios.
Woo-hoo.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Hello to all of our friends and family, collectors, supporters, partners, investors, shareholders, friends. This is an exciting moment indeed. I think we're at 9 a.m.
We're at 9 a.m. I'm hitting the launch button.
9 a.m. So should we have a countdown?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Fa Sheng
Kaboom!
is. We're live.
We're live. All right. Hey, Immortals, we are live. We have not been on Kickstarter for some time to gather our strengths to create our stockpile of content. Now that work is done, we're so pleased to be sharing with you the fruits of all of our labors. Fa Sheng 3, as you know, you can call him the Xavier of the bunch, the Dream Master that's corralling the Immortals together in this modern day. But in issue number 3, we go way back. I often describe this story as one of the most ambitious wuxia stories ever. And I'm not just saying this to BS, but I'm just going to lay it in and why I think it is. One, it deals with kind of the transition of fighting into spirituality, into transcendence, because I think that's the part that gets a little bit muddy and weird. It's like, well, if Kung Fu is all about fighting, what's the spiritual stuff? And how can spiritual people be great warriors? So we actually see the progression of a major martial artist, a fighter, a rebel, a guerrilla, his transition into an ascended spiritual master from the Zen tradition. So that is an amazing transition. And it's an evolution that I think Ryland Grant, our amazing writer, and Dexter Wee have just really woven into something really quite powerful and authentic. So I would say seeing that progression makes it incredibly ambitious and incredibly rare. The fact that we also weave in historic subject matter, especially the Boxer uprising, which is also a part of my own personal family heritage and lineage. So showing that progression of the Boxer rebellion during this very critical time between the East and West, that I think created so much bad blood that it actually poisoned Eastern-Western relations, I would say, for the next 150 years, in which we're still living in. So going back to the Boxer uprising, with a piece of important history from the land of the original martial legend in Chaozhou, which is my grandfather's hometown, is not only a piece of cultural IP. I think it's a piece of wuxia history that is incredibly important that we should all know about. So this being the backdrop of the story that also shows the transcendence of a character from kind of a true hero, a zero to hero story. Last but not least, this really delves into the centrality of Shaolin Kung Fu. So for those of you, many of you know that Shaolin is considered the cradle of Kung Fu as is known today. So when Fa Sheng finally enters the Shaolin Temple, already as a learned warrior, where he has to kind of start over and build new habits to access this more transcendent form, we seek to really bring out the sophistication, the knowledge, the beauty, the pageantry, the power of Shaolin practice in an authentic way, not chopsaki, not, Kung Fu hip hop, none of those things, but really diving into the official part of it. So the authenticity, the historic accuracy, the transformation of these characters, and the fact that he eventually transcends time and comes into here, the home of the Immortal Storyverse in LA. So here's another one. We're actually taking that entire body of knowledge, which is usually associated with history, and putting it squarely in our day-to-day. Talk about ambition. Talk about badassery. This kind of serious attempt at creating a new transcendent martial master that's connected to the past, authentic history, and then with us today is an amazing work. And I want to really just applaud and elevate and highlight the Immortal creative team that's enabled this. It really quite is a feat. Again, kudos to Ryland, to Dexter, and also to Charlie, as well as to Charlie Stickney, and also to Tasha Hui. It was their work that we first met Fa Sheng through their typewriters or through their pens. Although this is a character that I've been working with for quite some time. So it is just a perfect description of how the Immortal team works together. I know I'm going off. How am I doing, Josh? Am I over speaking? Am I leaning too much into this moment?
No, this is great, man. This is a perfect way to set up the tale. I mean, Fa Sheng's story goes back not just in the Immortal Storyverse, but in actual history as well. And I think that's one of the many things that makes Immortal Studios authentic and poised to carry on not just the lineage of wuxia, but of authentic Shaolin martial arts as well.
Mm-hmm. Right. The philosophy, the ideas, the practice, and gosh, something else just came to me, but it escaped me. But so look, this is a really exciting moment. Josh, what are you most excited about? What are you most excited about when you think about Fa Sheng?
As far as Fa Sheng goes, it is very transcendent. I mean, you would think of monks and fighting and the Boxer Uprising being the setting for a lot of war and bloodshed and carnage, which it is, on a very surface level. But in this particular issue, Fa Sheng goes through a lot of this human. He looks at the weight he's carrying, and I think a lot of us are going through this right now. And he looks at the weight he's carrying. It's like, what am I doing with all this? How can I even take one step forward if it just gets heavier and heavier with every step? And what I got out of it, not to spoil too much, is maybe you can fight, but what are you fighting for, and what do you believe in? And that's such a powerful part of a lot of martial arts fantasy, is the belief and the willpower you put behind your fists are stronger than just the muscle and the bone itself. And that's some hardcore stuff.
That's right. What can you tell our listeners today about this campaign and why it would be amazing for them to be part of it?
Well, this is Fa Sheng Origins 3, but don't let the sequel scare you away. We do have issues 1 through 3 of Fa Sheng available at a very good price. We've also got the Adept 1 through 3, so you can see how this Shaolin monk, his origin story as you travel back in time and see his roots, and then see the master he became in the modern day with the Adept. We also have Zissou, our guest artist, who drew an amazing alternate cover showing not so much the martial side of things, but more of like the internal martial arts, the reps that you do, the internal discipline, with a very striking ink cover as well. We've got a Shaolin shirt, an authentic Shaolin temple hat, and a lot of different exclusive rewards for everyone to enjoy. So please definitely check it out and let us know your thoughts.
All right. Well, we are live this morning. We want to thank, first and foremost, all of our collectors and supporters. I think this is our 9th Kickstarter campaign that is launching content. So we've been at this 9 times. And, there's a tight group of many of you, hundreds of you, who just do it and support us time after time and time again. So I just want to thank you for coming back. If you're new, just want to use this opportunity to welcome you to the Immortal Storyverse. We are a mission aligned transmedia entertainment company with a large mission to awaken the hero in everybody through our take on this timeless tradition of martial heroes, or awaken, excuse me, my coffee's not agreeing with me this morning, to awaken warriorhood through all of our stories. So I want to thank you and invite you to check out this campaign as well as all of our other stories that's available in a variety of other places. Josh, are we good here? I think we got a good opening day party. And Should we just go on with the rest of our day?
I think so. I just want to take a moment to thank all the fans who have backed us so far. There are so many of you who have got us to this point over the last 5 years, and just want to say thank you for checking us out and holding some space with us this morning. It is a pleasure and an honor to have you back with us. We've got a question here from Matt. What message would you like the readers to take away from Fa Sheng's story? Peiwan, you want to field that one?
Yeah, I think it's a timeless one, that no matter what your condition, no matter what your situation, that there is a profoundly powerful, centered, connected, purposeful person inside you. And that the journey of our lifetime is to access that person and make that person more and more central of who we are. Fa Sheng did it through the most impossible of circumstances, and from very, very humble beginnings, reach an exalted status, not only in the world as a profound, real Kung Fu lineage holder and master. He became transcendent and even connected with timelessness and other great powers. But so I think from Fa Sheng's life, it is about starting this journey. We call it cultivation, get cultivated. So I think that also shows up in our t-shirt. So the simple message of Fa Sheng is get cultivated, start today. Connect with your own inner hero and see where you go, see where she or he takes you.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Peiwan. That's awaken your hero in a nutshell.
That's awaken your hero. And after, of course, he awakened, now he's entering a lot of people's dreams, such as Amy and the Adept. And my sense is that, my belief is that we're going to see Fa Sheng do a lot more awakening in the not too distant future. So yes, literally awaken your hero. He would literally go into your dreams. On this point, I think it's interesting to note that, dream yoga has always been a part of the martial or yogic lifestyles and practice. Through modern science today, we're learning that the things that we experience in dreams, because we believe them to be real, so in a way, our consciousness does not know the difference between real or not real. I don't want to get into too many fringe theories here, but studies have shown that if you work out and you believe you worked out in your dreams, you wake up and your muscles actually have retained that knowledge and that memory. So dreams and reality is just one hair apart. Something to think about. Did I lose you?
Still there, just soaking it all in, man. I was gonna say, I think Ryland Grant actually has a Kickstarter of something similar. Is it the Jump? I believe it is.
Yes, I'm a big fan of the Jump. In fact, prior to inviting Ryland to join us on this story, I started reading and collecting the Jump and was just really blown away by his writing. And that one, I think, is about like astral projection. So, Josh, I am going to bid farewell to people, unless if there's any other business to undertake here. I will simply say to our community, to our fans, thank you for your support.
We've got one more question, Peiwan.
Yes.
What inspired you to create the world and characters of Fa Sheng?
Wow, that's a really, well, I think it's there's, growing up as a wuxia kid, there's so many amazing worlds and stories and backstories, historical elements. And I think I got into that a little bit, whether it was the Boxer uprising and the conditions that stories that I heard from my grandfather and his generation and generations before them of what it was like to have their homeland invaded by all these foreigners and what it must have felt like, and how hopeless they felt, because this is a time when China was not very technologically advanced. So there was a lot of foreign soldiers marching into their homeland carrying guns. And these warriors had no other recourse. They just knew the way of the fist. So they whipped themselves into a frenzy believing that by summoning the spirits and working out their qigong and some really profound martial practices, coupled with I think some misdirected spiritual beliefs, that they thought they were invulnerable. I would just thought it was a beautiful part of history. The journey of Fa Sheng, where he goes from Chaozhou all the way to the Shaolin Temple. He also goes through this Jianghu, this this real life martial artist phase. So I tried to. There's like 5 or 6 different influences. I talked about the Shaolin influence already, the historic influence, my own family backdrop, and then a modern day saint, warrior saint that is awakening many other heroes that came from the adepts. So I just decided to pull it all together. And I'd love to get your feedback on whether we've succeeded in doing that. I personally think that Fa Sheng's character, his journey, his background is kind of brand new premium martial lore for our generation in an authentic, empowering way. And I just go back to authenticity again. I part of wanting to create this world, not just the Fa Sheng world, but the Immortal Storyverse, is I got tired of so many elements of wuxia just being borrowed. Well, look, creative people are constantly borrowing, but sometimes without attribution, without understanding, without kind of an adherence to the fundamental rules and the beauty, the pageantry, and it just focuses on some of the most spectacular things out of context. I really wanted to change that because I think the process of getting there, the sophistication, the nuance, the beauty, how multifaceted this world is from a cultural, creative perspective. We wanted to preserve all of that beauty. And since nobody else was doing it, we decided to do it under the Immortal banner. So that's just a little bit of a nutshell. Of course, even though we are 4 titles out, to do this entire world justice the way that we see it, we're talking about infinite amounts of content. So want to invite you to stay tuned to this conversation because we've got so much more so we're still only scratching at the surface.
And Matt's on that note, Matt's saying, you say that Fa Sheng shows up in dreams in the other comics. Can you hint the future of the connectedness of the Storyverse? Does he show up in anybody else's dreams? Is Amy the only one?
That's a really good question. I think those are the things that we are taking up. I can say for sure that our next title will be roughly about young immortals coming together in modern day LA. I will only say that I have it on good authority that Fa Sheng plays a role in the awakening of this next gen young immortals.
Can't wait for that, man. I behind the scenes, there's a lot of exciting things brewing, so definitely stay tuned for that, folks.
Yes, but this is all modular. It's kind of built, and I would say, and I'm so glad, Josh, that you talked about this new piece of variant art by Z. I thought she really captures something very special. There's the well-known lore inside places of martial artistry, especially the Shaolin temples. Like, great, the warrior monks are great, the abbot is great, the Zen masters are great, but if you want a master who's really devoting himself to actual practice, look for the people working in the kitchen. Look for the sweepers, the cleaners. Those are the ones who actually are given the chance and the freedom, and frankly, in a certain perspective, perhaps the time to really devote themselves to this kind of practice. So it's very appropriate that in this cover we see Fa Sheng putting in some of that elbow grease. Oh, I know what I meant to talk about. Yes. And this should have been brought up way early, that there's actually a deep connection between yogic practice in India and martial practice in China. And one of the central figures is Bodhidharma, an Indian martial saint who actually traversed the mountains and went to the mainland and became a co-founder of the Shaolin Temple. He actually rears his head as the Dream Master to Fa Sheng here. So there's a serious homage here. Bodhidharma is an embraced, celebrated figure really throughout the world. If you don't know him, if you haven't heard of him, but my bet is that you've seen him. He's this rugged figure that's with a beard and oftentimes with kind of a cape, a drape over his head. You see him in throughout the East, frankly, throughout the world, on posters, on T-shirts, in brushstrokes. Well, the fact that Bodhidharma is a central figure and a master figure to Fa Sheng kind of tells you our goals and aspirations for recreating this new master. And I think part of this is really also laying an homage to our relationship to the actual Shaolin Temple. I'm kind of taken aback by how lucky I get to be, because we took the stage, for those of you who are following our story, in our most recent stage show, along with the Shaolin Temple, Immortal Shaolin, the past, present, future of Kung Fu, where we actually are actively collaborating with the real Shaolin Temple in real time. And that we get to lay a very significant homage to this real transcendent martial hero in Bodhidharma, who makes his appearance in Fa Sheng. So excited about that, and I would easily include this as one of the four earlier pillars I talked about. What makes Fa Sheng so unique? Fifth one is that we actually give homage to Bodhidharma and his centrality in the continuing legacy and mythology of Kung Fu, as told by Immortal Studios.
I was going to say, it's interesting you brought up the India connection when it comes to when you're a real master, you learn how to serve. It reminds me of a quote from Autobiography of a Yogi by Sri Yukteswar, which is, that's why I assign him to the kitchen and you to the parlor. So you might come to realize that a worthy leader has the desire to serve, not to dominate. You wanted Mukunda's position, but could not maintain it by merit. So it goes into Fa Sheng's position as one of our Immortal Studios pillars as an arhat, or an enlightened one, one who's free of the karma of past lives and is here to serve humanity. And I think that's another thing that makes the story really unique. A lot of people, or a lot of characters throughout the storyverse, are there to gain strength or redemption or forgiveness or awaken to their past lives and true powers. This guy's awakening to his purpose as a vehicle for, cleansing the dharma of others and serving humanity, which is kind of the end point. It's not just the heat death of the universe, or heaven or hell. It's to become part of the light force that serves the world and serves humanity. And I think that's what makes Fa Sheng really incredible.
It does, and it makes him kind of like a living presence. Right, the fact that Fa Sheng, yes, in reading these stories, he's like, okay, this is some ancient, this happened away in a far land and country far away, has no relevance to our lives here. But the fact that we depict him as today doing this kind of heavy lifting of awakening souls is really beautiful. It's actually very inspiring. I dream of the day where our stories could play the role that Fa Sheng is doing in people's private dream spaces, that through the characters and the journeys that you're able to go on through these characters and the lessons they learn, the things they learn along the way, the things they learn about themselves, how to heal, how to be empowered, how to take action, how to make a difference from the inside out. Those are all things that I think are truths for all of us to live by, more so now than ever.
Absolutely. One conversation at a time, one page at a time.
Yeah, and all of this in a really, really fun, elevated, fantastical, engaging way. I am really excited about these two. In fact, these two new covers, Josh, and I'm thinking about how we can add it to our growing wall of immortal characters.
First of many.
First of many. Well, Josh, I think, are we a wrap? Do we have any more questions?
That's all I'm seeing so far. Going once, going twice. Anyone just want to say hi? I think we're good.
Okay. Well, I would say thank you, everybody. Awaken Your Hero. Asking for your support of this endeavor. Whatever you can do would be greatly appreciated. We actually do rely on your generosity, your pre-orders, so that we could actually go back and do more stories. So it's very, very important. And for those of you who are collectors, consider this a very, very timely, important addition to your comic book collection. I'm holding on to my batches of first runs because once they're out, they're gone. So just a reminder for you to think about Immortal from a collection point of view as well. Okay. Are we good?
I think we're good, folks. Awaken your hero, be well, and let's turn the next page on superheroes together.
Let's do it.
Talk soon, folks.
Talk soon. Thanks.